members of Parliament, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today thankfully to Ms. Suzanne Cavulla, the President of the Museum of Modern Greek Art of Rhodes, who is our gracious host tonight. Thank you very much. And we are going to watch and participate in a panel moderated by Dr. Stefanos Vallianatos. And before we announce them, we would like to welcome, of course, Ms. Cavulla, our guest host, to say the words. Yeah, dear guests, it is with great honor that we welcome yet another Lindh Foundation event at the Museum of Modern Greek Art of Rhodes. After the first ever Mediterranean Horses event in Greece, some years ago, a new initiative funds to come under our law, an Lindh Foundation public dialogue, one dedicated to this participation. We welcome you all and are looking forward to hearing the positions of our experts by panelists and we please for a fruitful debate and forum. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Cavulla, once again. Today, I stand before you to speak about a remarkable initiative that plays a crucial role in shaping a more harmonious world for disease, the Lindh Foundation. Established in 2005, Emily was Swiss Foreign Minister Anna Lindh, who dedicated her life to promoting dialogue and understanding cultures. This foundation embodies the very essence of our community in our recently polarized times. The Lindh Foundation was established to promote intercultural dialogue and mutual understanding in the Euro-Mediterranean societies. Since then, the ALF has successfully engaged, mobilized a wide range of stakeholders, leveraging this point's last vast network of society entities, the largest in the Euro-Med region, give back to the supporting governors gathering representatives of 42 member states and the advice of the Supervisory Council. As part of its work on public policies, ALF promotes collaboration among different actors and stakeholders, including civil society entities, researchers, practitioners, policymakers, and local administrators to close the circle between practice, knowledge, and policy, and to create responsible Euro-Mediterranean ecosystem on intercultural public policies. Why is this so for our youth? I'm many main topic for today. The answer lies in the transformative power of dialogue. Young people today are growing up in an era characterized by rapid change, social media connectivity, and an ever-increasing flow of information. However, the same environment can also bring misunderstanding and conflict. The Lindh Foundation seeks to bridge these gaps by equipping young people with the skills they need to engage in constructive conversations. Through workshops, educational programs, and cultural exchanges, they learn to appreciate various perspectives and develop a deep assessment. In conclusion, the Lindh Foundation is not just an organization, it is a movement that inspires hope and action among the youth. By promoting intercultural dialogue, empowering young leaders, and addressing the challenges of our time, it lays the groundwork for a more peaceful and exciting world. Therefore, the best people in the area of the world and the leading experts on matter are here to talk about it and advise us on it. As I said before, the panel will be moderated by Dr. Stefanos Vallianatos, by Mr. Stefanos Katsoulis, Mr. Vassili Golikov, Mr. Graziano Tullio, and Ms. Nana Bahgat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you indeed from the bottom of my heart for being here. It is, and since I think most of you know, some of you know that I've been here again and again, and I think it's one of the largest, the biggest crowd that we would have for such an event. This is really encouraging. Even though that I consider today's topic is really about you. This is addresses you and not us myself, or actually youth of all ages, which I include myself there. So, the label of the forward under which this event takes place, we call it as a member of the Lindh Foundation, different perspectives, is the ALF Outreach Dialogue. And the general topic is exploring the role of youth participation in promoting Europe-led solution to global issues. This means, and this actually limits in a certain way, actually enlarges that the approach to those issues have a collective one. It is not only in how do we deal individually, but how do we deal it collectively and within the specific area that is about concern, the human region. So, actually, the Lindh Foundation puts on the top of their priority group youth. Why is that? I think Professor Mustafa Aydin on Wednesday evening actually outlined the reasons for this. It is the future. You are the future. You can bring on board new ideas, thinking out of the box, but also for a very serious reason. If the world is really in big trouble, if there are a number of problems, a number of challenges, a number of really great conditions, this is not your responsibility. It's either our generation or the previous one, but in any case we are big part. So if those generations are responsible for the creation of all those obstacles and problems, then you shouldn't expect that much from those generations to solve. That doesn't mean they cannot participate in solving it. And the other reason is that if that's the case, the future is ahead of us. You are going to be the ones to deal with it. It is in your best interest to solve global issues. So it is in this framework, those conditions, those two axes that the Lindh Foundation is approaching those initiatives. And the one which we will really address today has to do with the reality which is in the region, which, if you see that the large region, even though unequally balanced and equally disturbed, a larger part of the population is still. This might not be the case in the north, but definitely is in the south. So we have a growing percentage of population which is youth, and but at the same time, so they are gaining more and more knowledge, they are getting more educated, they are getting better skilled, better developed, with better know-how. At the same time, we have a gap, a deficit between those kids, those vested interest in their future, and their participators in decision making, in policy making, and so on and so forth. So the first issue that we would like to address is why it is happening. The focus answer is probably because there are a lack of initiative. Well, if you look at it, and this is one of the issues that we discussed, you will see that it's not necessarily the case. A number of institutions, a number of initiatives, a number of organizations, a number of including the European Union, including the European Partnership, including governments and other institutions, civil society, local authorities, have initiated such activities, such opportunities for the youth to participate in this. Yet, the result does not seem to justify all those efforts. Why is that? This is one of the questions that I would like to address. One of the answers is that those activities tend to be rubber stamps. It's just justified, maybe also in the cases of their constituency, it's just perceived the lack of legitimacy which are of them. It's perceived in other cases that they do not represent the body of, in some cases, the electorate or the constituency. And this is something one of the most important challenges. I think so. To believe that what's the problem is not the way to get it. It's to find it from the other perspective. And this is what this activity is going to do. It's going to address two major issues. First of all, from a practical perspective, and that's why the three of the speakers will talk from their own experience from their own countries, Egypt, Greece, and Estonia, even though their reference might be a bit otherwise. And then our Graziano Council in Portugal, but he's in Italian, and I'm in Switzerland, he will provide a much wider perspective. What is the two major issues that we discuss is one, what are the good practices, what we have, what is there, and through that, we would like to discover a number of important issues. A, what are the areas that the involvement of the unit is important? What are the institutions and the mechanisms that are there to assist them, whether I'm talking about the local level, regional level, a state level, or global levels. And this week, as we said, we've done a list of good practices and maybe a little bit of failed practices. And then we go back and see, based on the challenges and the barriers we recognize and we see in them, and maybe the effectiveness and the existing rules, what kind of strategies, what kind of approaches are there, and whether they lack efficiency or whether this is some ideas that evolved that we can implement. And this is the second track of this mission that we can make in a great fashion. The structure and as a water for regional cooperation project is, we have a specific structure. So I'll give the floor to full speakers for 7 minutes about the first issue, and then I will go back to the floor to you, because the idea, and that's why you call it an outreach, is not for us to tell you how good we are and how well we have such a good activities. Is whether those initiatives, those interventions, they answer to you, or whether you have additional questions, or whether those things can create an additional incentives for you to think out of the box and offer to us some of your perspective of the issue. And then move on to the second page, which is the strategies and theories, the future, let's call it that way. So again, we'll have a new set, another 7 pages for each one of the speakers, and get the set of questions. And the last part would be questions of different nature whatsoever, not specifically. In that respect, please, when we finish the first round, your questions, your interventions should be related to the first issue and the overlaps. I will try to keep it within the limit of time, because I know that everybody is speaking to grow and have fun. And the best way to do that is by having a very challenging discussion and debates like it once. And please feel free to challenge us and even to say that what we are saying is out of bounds. Don't worry about it. We can handle it. So the first question is raising awareness of what's the state of the art in which part of the world. And with regard to, as you said, with regard to the good practice of the system, for initiatives and mechanisms that have successfully, or in some cases not that successful, even though they were good ideas, why does it happen? Those youngsters contribute meaningfully, that's the key word, not any rock stamp initiatives, to decision-making and policy-making processes, and therefore through that to identify, as we've said, the challenges that exist, the mechanism, relevance of the youth, whether we can only talk about youth and their intervention or their contribution, all the specific issues are related to them, of whether they can really have a say in other issues, for other issues, because they have fresh ideas, open-minded, open as a box, and whether also the final one, which, as I've said, it doesn't concern me because I'm still young, but anyway, whether we can have not a clash of agents, but the cooperation among them in an inclusive manner. So, I will start with Vassili. So,
are you sure?
Yes, sir. Because I would like to put a lot of pressure on you and anxiety that the others have to speak as well. Okay, so 7 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, dear friends. It's my third time and such a great event, and thank you for your invitation. Yes, the main topic is very interesting for the discussion. I'm really happy to see familiar faces which from the previous event, and actually see new faces also here. 20 years ago, my journey started with working with young people and they see that young people right now are very, very brainy, very active. They're very willing to change the world, and it's starting from the small pieces. So the story of Estonia is not unique. We was a Soviet country with a lot of challenges. Currently, we are having a lot of opportunities. So what the young people gain through the whole 30 years of independence. First, our country started to establishing a institutionalization of youth work. So we are starting to creating institutions, governmental one, local young youth organizations, and so on. Later on, we set up the strategies. So in frame in which we are working for. So currently all the documents, including the youth policy, are interrelated with the United Nations SDG goals, European Commission and governmental level and even local one. So everyone knows what is happening and what kind of teams young people are contributing. So for example, if you are at school and you're writing some youth project, and change Erasmus Plus, please raise your hands if someone has been using Erasmus Plus programs. Such a nice institute opportunity. So that's the option for Estonians also, right? So we started moving on, and later on we understood that the main problem could be at local level. So we started to create the ground, the basic law, and government introduced with the parliament that every local city council should have a youth council, which is have an opportunity to contribute in decision-making process when you discuss budget questions, right? When you discuss the questions of whether we have to develop more youth participation questions, whether we have to increase the hobby school, and so on and so on. So youth has a real role. And of course, there is a lot of challenges currently. We are e-country, maybe you have heard about that. Maybe you know that we are really love digital tools and everything about iPhones, and telephones and so on. And young people currently are not really interested in participating physically in the events because they really love to chat and spend their time digitally. So in inventing different solutions for that is quite difficult. So when you organize any kind of event for young sport activity, for example, and everyone is trying to be digital. So one of the programs is also for the teachers, social workers, youth workers to engage with such different young people. And also we have programs with people with similar opportunities, people with special needs. Those who are, for example, during the COVID, was mostly, let's say, faced the problems of exclusion. We also talk about inclusion in decision-making process of the government. Just give an example. 15 years ago, one young volunteer, just a young person, came up to me and said, I want to be a volunteer, how I could start my way. So we give the opportunities to them. He found his own way, and 3 weeks ago, he became a minister of infrastructure. So he knows, he set up his own goals. And of course, political participation, which I have to mention also, is also important. Of course, in each country, it's different cases. In our country, you have to be politically acknowledged, aware of what is happening, and participate, because the political participation provides you the road to the future. In terms of local council, was the governmental level, and including working with the business. In terms of skills and knowledge, I'm really suggesting we to learn more as much as possible, participate at all possible levels, even if it's boring and not interesting in the beginning, but later on, believe me, it will give some results. I have also some colleagues from Denmark, which we are working for, and it's quite unique experience that we are working on a similar level. And I'm sure we have in Estonia or Greece the same problems. The problems of poverty, the problems of the lack of money or resources for young people, right? Where young people have some great initiatives, but the local politics sometimes are stopping it. Or there is a lack of human resources, for example, and so on. In terms of participation, I will say our state is doing well because we first introduced right now also for the European Parliament elections that young people, this is now in the government decision-making process is happening, has the right, the next parliament will decide officially, has the right to go on a vote at 16 for the parliament, European Parliament elections. Could you imagine that? So we have right now, the young people at 16 has decision-making process when they go for a vote. What kind of member of local council will be. So they have the rights in that way. And also in the future, we are about skeptical for a moment. The parliament is unseeing the problem of population. We have a decrease of population and young people as well. We need more voters, more active people. So to let the young people vote already in the parliament. So it's in the debate, but we're starting right now with European level, so to see the challenges. In terms of digital citizenship, if you know something about European Commission programs, we really empower young people to know media literacy, digital literacy skills. That's why how they communicate within themselves. And to reduce also the generational gap. Yeah, maybe you know, and intergenerational dialogue of importance, or intercultural dialogue as well. Because currently our country has a lot of refugees from around the world and mostly from Ukraine, and we are helping them to integrate in the society, but at the same time, the challenge for young people to be included and not be forgotten. That's how it was the campaign of United Nations. Thank you. Is it?
Yeah, but just remember the initiatives is very clear.
Oh yeah, the initiatives is a plenty of them. I've just given you an example. For example, this is the one of the initiatives which we currently right now is doing. This is the young people. I will introduce it later on this more deeply. But what kind of initiatives young people do? 5 years ago, we had participants, people with special needs, and they said, could we invent a youth forum, a youth summer camp for people with special needs, where the so-called normal people could be engaged and collaborate together. So that's the problem was where the people with special needs are sometimes mostly forgotten, you know, because if you have no facilities for them, right, they're moving the toilet and so on, sometimes it happens where. So we decided together with the government to introduce such an initiative. It's fifth time very actively participating, and young people feel themselves not excluded and totally are real fun. But at the same time, so-called normal people without three problems, physical or mental or educational, they are really socialized, have more moral, you know, like moral values and so on. That's the first one. In terms of participation, the youth councils are collaborating every year to organize the summer camps and trainings for the trainers. So we train young people, they train old people in communities and schools. And they visiting together different institutions, they work together under one project with the city council members. So if they see that's the problem, this is a bunch of money, we divide it equally according to the needs of young people. Not what the elder people think, but the needs of young people. And the third initiative is that the government funds for the participation. We have a fund for young people, and young people just can apply any idea, whatever you want to. Apply money, and if it's not enough, the solutions are flexible, and they could implement these ideas.
Thank you, Max Vassili. Before I can go to another sorry, I just want to wrap it up. It's just what I outlined here is that there seems to be that in Estonia as once you got out, you follow the collective approach, which is the inclusive approach, and there was a transparency about the rules. The European reality and the validation was the guideline and you went for this one. The digital element of the digital reality
try to participate here.
which allowed this participation and was very important. The realization that while at the national level this might go pretty much okay, but it seems to be that the local level was kind of a problem, and therefore introduced and proposed the basic law with the youth councils, importance of political participation. And then a very important information is what I realized is that there seems to be a correlation, a cooperative between all the levels, the government, the fund that exists in order to supporting the training for trainers, and most important is that once you get the programs that you push for is identified locally and by the youth, and that will address them and organize by the idea of that.
Yeah.
I should have said now that the authorities should also move to Egypt, a rather large country with very large percentage of its voters.
Hi, Felicita. So I want first to thank the House of Human and Lindh Foundation for the kind invitation. Such a pleasure to be joining this intercultural conversation. So I'm mostly will be speaking about Egypt and take a little bit far to the Middle East, to one of the most populous countries, which is Egypt, which has around 100 million nation. So youth actually constitute around a third of our population, which is a big number, of course. Speaking about the participation of our youth participation in our country actually translates a little bit to actually giving the opportunity to access jobs, or to access education, or to access experiential learning processes for them, because we have a huge employment issue, and we also have a 30% poverty rate in Egypt, which makes a little bit the idea of participation for youth is like the most priority for them is to actually access education and access decent jobs. So I'll be mostly speaking about the American University in Cairo, which I work in, and also the Center for Philanthropy, Civic Engagement, Responsibilities, which I also specifically work at. So at the university, we have something that's called community-based learning model, which is a track at the university. Also to give you context, the American University in Cairo is a private university and it's funded by USAID. And also, the university is one of the most elitist universities in the region. It serves around 6,000 students every year, and students are selected after a very selective process. So mostly the university offers a community-based learning track in which students would be able to volunteer or get an internship in one of the civil society organizations beside their degrees, so they will be able to get a real on-ground experience, getting to understand the culture and the society, and also expand their own knowledge about what they're being taught in the school, and actually testing the OCs they're getting taught at the university, and also getting to see how things are actually done in practice. So this is one of the mechanisms the university is doing to actually give access or to include youth in society and in doing different opportunities. I would also like to speak more about the mechanisms and practices that we do at our center, because the center serves as the developmental arm of the university. We actually are the only space in the university that actually works with students and fresh graduates outside the university, with less privileged youth from other governments, from Upper Egypt, for example, or from other governments that don't really have this kind of unique opportunity of education or access to elitist networks. So at our John Digger Center, which I work at, it has different practices and methods that we do. So first of all, we have a network, it's called MAN, which is an Arab University Alliance for Civic Engagement. It's a part of many international prestigious networks like Talwar. Talwar network is actually a very big network that has around 146 universities and is present in 91 countries. Most of them are in Europe. So in MAN, what we do is we give the space for students and for graduates to be able to come up with their own initiatives and we try to connect them with government bodies, ministries, and civil society organizations in which they would be able to share their own initiatives and ideas that they want to do, and we give the training sessions to equip them with knowledge and skills to be able to implement these initiatives. And through a national competitions between these projects or these people, they would be able to connect with governmental bodies to share their ideas and to think about how to actually implement them. And also on a local level, it would be also important for them to help their own communities and come up with real on-ground solutions. So, for example, one of the initiatives that was held, one of the competitions, some youth started doing an application that's related to related to money sharing through financial technology, something like that, for example, in the States. And that initiative was actually supported and implemented by the Ministry of Finance, and it actually came to real life right now. So in SOMAM, we try to bridge the gap between the government and youth to be able to include them in the most possible ways. We also have different practices we do through community-based initiatives in which we give the space for youth to work with local communities on providing them with the most things that they need, like doing a need assessment and checking what they really actually need for their communities, and get to do a project with them or to include them in some ways. We also have an experiential learning track in which we provide space for youth to learn through practice and also learn through different mechanisms outside the classrooms. So, for example, one of the programs that I also work on is the Rhodes Fellowship, which also has a great chapter, and we would love to talk about that tomorrow. But through the Rhodes Fellowship, it's an opportunity for fresh graduates to be placed in an international organization, a UN organization or a governmental organization or some society organization, and get a 1-year placement in which they can learn how to be in a professional setting and get equipped with skills and training sessions, and also have mentorship and actually do a research project, in which they would be able also to understand different topics and issues in the country related to youth, women empowerment, human rights, health, education, and different things. Through this also research project, they are able to connect with different organizations and different governmental also practitioners to also share their ideas and get feedback and think about how these projects can be implemented in reality. So I think that's most for now, but I'm happy to talk about that also in the second part.
Are there any others?
That's it.
Thank you very much for keeping the time. Just wrapping it up before I go. It offers really a very interesting perspective of how an academic institution and university can play a role. Of course, her role is the intermediary, but also in advancing and giving opportunities for programs and main trainings, but also for me, what I really get here is that the way the operates is not only working within the university, but then opening countries of all societies, and which give you opportunity to work slightly more than that work, the notion of networking, and of course, when it comes to governments, then bureaucracy is a major issue, and this is where such institution, of course, I would have to say that the weight of such an institution like the American University of Cairo within other such universities, and of course the American funds or the American welfare imperative is also a weight, but nonetheless, this is very important. Looking for solutions on the ground, and of course experiential, and research projects. So this is actually the existing points of the academic institution, and it actually corresponds to a notion that we've been working with some other academics and friends. It's what I would like to call the academic social responsibility, or the university social responsibility, in correlation with the corporate social responsibility. Thank you for that. Then last, in terms of the stake, or in terms of the good practices, the Greek side, where is Stefanos?
Thank you very much, dear Stefanos. I would like to thank the host as well for inviting me to be here with you. Actually, the House of Europe and also the whole cooperation with the Greek branch, the Hellenic branch of the Lindh Foundation, in which our organization, the Thessaloniki Youth Platform, is also members. It's many years now. Talking about the American University Cairo, it just came to my mind that it was one of our first MUN experience, along with Michael Katsoulis, the head of the House of Europe, back in, I don't know, 2005, was it? Something like that. Okay, it was an amazing experience. And of course, we're not here to talk about simulations and simulation conferences, but needless to say, that everything all of us have gained and young people gain in terms of engagement and participation is very, very important. Well, I want to thank Anna Galamata because she said, let's say that I'm an expert, but more or less I would say that I consider myself to be more of a, let's say, grassroots person. Because through our organization, where I have been serving since 2010, we're mostly actively involved in the field. However, talking first of all about our organization and a few, if I may say, good examples, what we had always in our back, let's say, side of our mind, was to somehow connect research, just mentioned, and youth policies. And to this end, the last 3 years, we are putting our efforts in developing. It is still under, let's say, in process. It has been established, but we are growing up every year. A think tank that does research on European and EU member states, and not only EU member states, but European countries in general, youth policies and strategies. What it is important is that not that much, let's say, the outcomes we have so far reached, but we realized the need that young people who are studying at the universities, young researchers, they need to find a platform to express themselves in let's say, research-oriented basis. Something that is not really easy for young researchers in well-established journals or other means. And talking about Lindh and intercultural dialogue, going to the second, let's say, good example that we're very proud of, is that as an organization actively involved in the region of North Macedonia, and of course appreciating the importance of having good neighborhood relations with all the neighboring countries, we have established back again in 2010 a series of around these dialogues with colleagues and now friends from North Macedonia, back at the ages where even the name dispute without criticizing if any kind of foreign policy was correct or not, but the point was that we realized, and we still realize, that young people from both sides of the border need to establish dialogue, because we all face the same challenges and the same problems, and we seek for the same opportunities. Moving on the local level, we had the honor as an organization to serve as, let's say, a member organization of, back in 2014, what we were saying, that the organizing team of the European Youth Capital that was back in Thessaloniki. Why is it important? Of course, it was very important that Thessaloniki was honored as the European Youth Capital. We had a very active here with various events. What was also important was that from that period and from some other European youth capitals that were prior or after Thessaloniki. A network was established. It became a network only a few years ago, but for many years it was an unofficial network consisting from youth organizations from these cities, and with youth advocacy that we try to do. We, let's say, managed in the cities participating as youth capitals in the past, to develop for the first time in Thessaloniki in 2018, established to develop the local youth council, the municipal youth council, which is one of the first local youth councils established in Greece the last 5-6 years. Along with the local youth council, because now actually in this room there are so many young people, and I'm very proud of this generation, who are very active in their own towns or municipalities in local youth councils, and they know far better than me to talk about these institutions. But along with the youth council, we have established another mechanism, a tool, the funding, how youth participatory budgeting, which was a tool that gave the opportunity to young people of the municipality to co-decide about how they would like to spend a specific percentage of the budget of the municipality of Thessaloniki, and not only to decide this, but also to develop these activities, these initiatives. This is something that ran for a couple of years. It didn't afterwards, but we still hope that we will see it again as a good practice. However, this year in 2024, because my other, let's say, capacity is a staff member of the University of Macedonia in Thessaloniki, we developed a funding regulation with which students, undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD candidates can propose to the rectorate of the university ideas that, of course, have to be somehow related with the academic scene, conferences, seminars, debates, and these ideas, these students' initiatives are being funded and can be realized through the budget of the University of Macedonia. To be honest, I am not aware if other universities have proceeded in this direction, but I hope that they already do, or if not, the young generation will push toward this direction. I don't know if I have 1 more minute or not.
Half a minute.
Okay, half a minute. Just to mention, at the national level, leaving from the local going to the national level, that an initiative that was established this year actually is the initiative of nominating and giving the award of the National Youth Capital, which is something that raises awareness, giving the opportunity to the city that receives the title to promote youth engagement and active participation of young people. And this is an initiative that it was developed under the ministry, always forget the name, the Ministry of Family and Social Cohesion. I mean, was it from the Ministry of Education? Well, but now it's under the Ministry of Family and Social Cohesion. Thank you. So it is a governmental, let's say, initiative. So thank you, and of course, all yours to the discussion.
Thank you very much. And just adding up again is that it's very interesting that again coming from a background from academic background, you actually press the notion of being in trust and the academic character on the involvement, the opportunities for research for the students, and the cooperation with the local authorities for programs that are related for research, as well, and of course, of others, as I said, but also as a Greek, you might see the importance of youth in areas, even neighboring areas and neighboring eventual disease, but also in daily conditions. Some years ago, safety being a red line, not to just show there in the other country, based on the loss of the youth, see a different perspective and at the same time that the problems are coming. And of course, mention it's very important that I think it was a reaction and talking from just that involvement came to the ideas and therefore the implementation of the national skills capital at Vassili. It is to get a private mistake, but I'm not sure that the ideas came from Graziano to administrations. So, Tiano, it's up to you because how about now? I see that because it's like a very colorful and very joyful and very optimistic perspective. So, it's up to you guys to have it with a negative bias. But you know, that see the overall picture and probably the challenges and women is actually what we have seen is really offering much respect for its life.
Thank you, everyone. So how are you doing? Good? Yes. At the beginning, Stefanos was saying, let's have this session because everybody's looking forward to have fun later on. But I believe that you should have fun now. Because if you don't find fun in the sense of having passion in this kind of debates, then how we can be engaged in a policy discussion later on will to last 3-4 years, and we are here just for a couple of hours. So I believe that part of the fun should be here, not fun in the sense of not taking seriously, but fun in the sense of being passionate, be engaged, be able to be entertained, and entertained in a good manner, an intelligent manner in this kind of activities. And which is also what drives me to do this kind of work, and I believe that it's not going to be the same for you. If we want to change all these global issues from youth engagement. And when we talk about this youth engagement and how we can empower young people, we have this idea of change makers, no? And actually we're going to open the floor in a minute, but I would like to already have a little conversation with you. I would like to ask you, what makes a young person a change maker? Make any kind of skills, quality, whatever you think that makes yourself a change maker. And I'm looking for two specific words, so we're leaving this space until you find out these two words I'm looking for. You can also just shout. I think we are good enough to hear this. So what makes you or just a young person a change maker or someone who would be very meaningfully engaged in a participation process for policy?
Be brave.
Be brave. Yeah, bravery is the first. Yes.
Ladies first.
Just one.
Hello, good evening. I think having a positive impact on society is the most important thing when you are down change.
So thinking about your positive impact.
Definitely.
Okay, thanks. Good. Yeah, just go around and you can just share everything. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd say sense of justice.
Sense of justice. Yeah. Don't need to articulate, just say some words. Imagine we have like this whiteboard, we usually use it in the courses. So we have this attitude, positive, sense of justice, sanity, yes.
That's good. Thank you very much. I would like to say that durable. Still, be durable.
Be durable as a person. To study in a course and they get the session for 2 hours. Well, yes.
Let's go down there.
Well, you need motivation, the drive.
That's good. That's good.
Yep.
To be inclusive and to be able to take the initiative and implement projects despite the criticism or the judgment that people receive.
Yeah. This is one of the parts I was looking for, thank you. And then the second is, yeah, you couldn't. Stop. That's it.
Thank you. I think being able to maintain your optimism for those for the world.
Okay, that is durable part. Let's take one last. The rest will consume my 7 minutes only. That's it.
Maybe to be decisive.
To be decisive. Determined and taking decision.
That's it.
Yep. You have one more?
It's like, I would say character and vision.
Thank you. What I see that most of the comments I see here are pretty much self-centered in the sense that it's the capacity of the person to be performers and performing well, capacity, etc. I want to add here to the table two more elements. It would be nice to discuss later on. The first one is about the capacity to be representative. Because you can be very much endurable, very decisive, etc. You have a lot of young people doing this. There's a lot of academy and a lot of capacity building program. Young people always say, yeah, we need the capacity of young people to participate. An organization do a lot of strategies just about capacity building. Because if they want to participate, they have to know how to participate. And I believe these kind of models are a marvelous moment to understand how to do policy analysis, structured dialogue, and capacity leadership, and all these debates, etc. That's very important. But we don't need only just people who are good in what they do. It's about the people that they represent someone else. I'm doing this because I'm working mainly with organizations. I was coming from this grassroots background, doing report and training, the European stuff, etc. But now I'm working more with institutions. So when I organize activities, so they ask me to participate or organize activities, so identify people to talk with. The first question is, this person, who is talking on the behalf of whom? How many people? Who is behind him? It's just a professional participant, it's young people that they just go up from one drink by another just for the sake of being there, or they actually come with the constituencies behind them. This is very important. The capacity to be representative. Leadership, it's one element of it. But leadership is just to bring people with you. While representativeness is about being you with them, which is about inclusiveness somehow. And this is important because I know that many young people, I believe many of you are part of an organization, they strive a lot to be in touch with the decision makers, try to give a lecture, be part of a policy dialogue, be there in the conference as a person. If you work in a way that you represent a lot of people, the policy makers then will come to you directly. And that goes together with the networking and the cooperation capacity. It's not just about how much you make an effort to reach and be part of the room where decisions are taken. Try to build a network between an organization which is outside the room. Because if your network outside the room is big enough, they will put it together. And I'm saying this from the internal perspective, working in organizations. I'm working this very moment with the Union for the Mediterranean. This morning I was curious because I was looking at the model there because I'm doing the youth strategy for the Union for the Mediterranean. And one of the things there is about this capacity of cooperation. We are doing a lot of debates and focus group with a lot of organizations in the South Med. So one of the elements that always come out is about this fragmentation and disintegration of the youth organization in the area. Everybody runs on its own. And in any academy, lab, university, different people come up with mushrooms, and you don't know whom you have to talk with. And what is missing is a big coordinated approach on creating a youth agenda. A youth agenda you have to be shaped by you if you are big enough and coordinated enough to do that. And I can tell you that it's very difficult for me also to identify big network that they are representative enough. So I'm not to close here just to say that consider to make an effort not only to go up towards the political level, spend some time also to remain on your horizontal level to build enough capacity to be representative and to create a network, because at a certain point they will come to you. Just like if I have a moment, 30 seconds for example. I was working for many years for the Council of Europe for the Northern sector. We were organizing the University of Development. I don't know if you ever heard about this in Molina, laboratory Spain. So basically imagine that you're doing your training, your workshop, your seminar with your organization, but in a place where other organizations are really their own active, training, seminar, etc. So basically, instead of this model happening here, imagine the other 4 or 5 models happening in the same place. So you have a lot of people working in the same direction with their own teams. This kind of thing is so impactful, it's so big, representative that for the opening program, opening ceremony, representatives from the political parties, they ask to come. We don't invite them. They want to come. Because you have the scouts there, you have the Lindh Foundation there, you have the OECD there, you have European Youth Forum there. And when they know that all the people are there, you have to pause it. So try to change this perspective. Try to work at your level, and eventually the political level will be smart enough to come to you directly. And that will stop you to. Thank you very much.
I think actually the things that actually wasn't pitched the second issue of just the running platform. You put on the agenda the notion of change maker, which is something that I was really what we're looking for people to be there. Our with the because our students, our youth here mentioned a number of prerequisites in order for them to succeed in this world, which means having a great watch into it, they have initiative, they have a positive income in society, good ability, motivation, and so on. And you mentioned, and three important things is character and having a vision. And of course, one of the most important things you mentioned is not that much the quality. It's not only the quality of those in order to be in that part, whether they are representative of something bigger. The representation of those youth of a large community, and this relates to the fragmentation of the youth initiatives at the European level, would allow them, would attract the attention of the major stakeholders and decision makers that might bring them on board. So that is also just taking into consideration the notion that work on both axes, the horizontal and the vertical one, in order to move the skills of that level, in order to be able to scale it and use that to governance. Okay, so I think we close the first one, and then the second issue, which we're going to already touch, but I will open the floor to you for some like 3 months, and then we touch upon which we already started having a notion is that, and maybe bring back the issue, maybe you mentioned from your own experience, the challenges and the obstacles, and from your experience, whether you see that some youth organizations and out there, they need to offer inputs for a decisive decision-making in policy formulation or model of your experience, and then the phone would be used again in order to see what kind of strategies, what kind of planning, what kind of the other tactics are initially in order to both improve and allow for those fields to have an input, not at an individual level of institution, but at the collective level, at the European level per se. So the floor is yours for any questions or experience for your own life in the student community or the active community around. Elisa?
I'll be the first again. So I'm engaged into many youth projects, and what I've noticed that it's a really sad fact is that in a nihilistic era, usually young people tend to be indifferent. So the actual challenge for us, for all the people who are here today, and want to be present and want to participate in this kind of things, build something new, an association, university club. The difficult part is to make others believe in your mission. And I think, yes, the social media is a very important tool, but how, practically speaking, can we reach out to people from your experience, and Mr. Tullio, for any other participant who would like to reply to my question? How can we draw attention to a project from a marketing perspective, but at the same time staying true to the vision, not trying to fabricate a very, to try to simplify our project just for the sake of being likable. Because when it comes to model trends, for example, it's not an easy task for an average everyday citizen to start discussing about the situation in the Middle East. He needs expertise, you need to study, you need to write your position papers, you need to do work. And you usually go and do this work. So how do we do it? How do we get people believing in our vision without making it smaller, just so that we can be more comfortable for the majority around us? Makes sense. Thank you.
Any other question?
Yes, thank you, Cairo, greetings from Estonia. And I have a question. Our young people overcome bureaucratic barriers that prevent them from participating in political process. And what message that goes from involving and learning perspective. What I saw that for a lot of youth, it's hard to be in a position of politician. Of course, it's a nice game, but it's very hard to be the real part of it when it comes to actions. So, thank you.
Final question just for this round. Two questions here.
Well, not exactly a question, sharing marks actually. Well, there is a very wide variety of tools available to both national authorities and youth organizations regarding youth. What always surprised me, admittedly in a negative way, is that for us Greeks, many of those tools are not even translated in our own language. So if you, examples, youth work, you have not accept, we don't have a definition in Greek. We have some translation that is mostly used, but no definition. Youth mainstreaming, another trend in youth policy. Youth check, which is something that the EU Commission implements as of the start of 2024, if I'm not mistaken. Most of those are in the legacy of the European Year of Youth. And but at the same time, we have all those strategies. Nations have youth strategies, the European Union has youth strategy, and that it regularly tries to bring up to what's happening right now to modernize it. We have the tools of the Council of Europe, has some great bilateral cooperation mechanisms where nations are capable to ask the organization for help drafting youth strategies, for example, and implementing it, and asking for good practices. And why am I saying all that? Well, because a wide variety of member states, I'm more familiar with what the member states do, but also other states in the wider region do not make use of those tools, and an even wider variety of youth organizations, mostly because of this permutation that allows organizations to exist without taking in all the information available, have no idea of the tool available to them. So my question would be to all of you, maybe most Mr. Tullio, how do we help both national authorities and youth organizations to learn of those tools available to that? And final comment, in 2025, Malta has invited the ministers of the Council of Europe for a youth conference. We haven't had one since 2012. To my understanding, this is very big news because the documents that are going to be voted upon, the declarations that will follow this the Convention of Business Person, will pave the way for what the members of the Council of Europe will aim towards with regards to youth policy in the future. So I would like to see more youth organizations or national youth councils, national parliaments, local youth councils or federations of them being involved in such preparations, because an approach to youth participation should be bottom up, it cannot be top down. That's it. Thank you.
Guys, the last
As an ex-educator's point of view, how do you propose way to give the youth to firstly reach out, acknowledge, research, and look up what youth is such as thing? Is that something that the educational systems in each member state with a limited time, funding, and freedoms at some point can take on? Or maybe it is a local government's responsibility, like the mayor's office, considering that international organizations can only suggest saturation. You know, truly it is a man that it makes for states real angel.
Can you repeat it and then just plug it?
The abortions just okay, so sorry, I was listening. As an ex-educator's point of view, how do you propose we educate the youth to firstly reach out, acknowledge and research and look up opportunities such as this? Is that something that educational systems in each member state with their limited time, funding and freedoms at some point can take on? Or maybe is that the local government's responsibility, like the mayor's office, considering that international organizations can only suggest such initiatives and not truly implement them in every member state and in their curriculum.
So Charles Paul or Stefanos. There are two sectors, so in that respect you are free to also incorporate this Trump. Our strategies and future.
It will be more or less
Then in between just
an overall comment.
so I just would like to think what you finish and meet whether you really consider that from your experience will come across any initiatives that the contribution of the youth in policy decision making is really essential, or is it really just a best? But I want your own experience, your own knowledge of what you've heard at any level, be that the local, the regional, or the state level.
Thank you. But I'm not sure if I remember all the comments and questions, but a general comment from my side. Starting with Elisa's comment question, which is quite related to the second topic. I will speak from our perspective, how to attract these people and engage them. When in our organization we developed previously activities, voluntary activities that we as a group have designed, and then called people, young people, as volunteers to come and implement them, we never had a successful outcome. When we started inviting young people to come and design along with us the activities that we want to do, from, I don't know, maybe a grassroots event that would last for 1 hour to an unlinked bilateral event that we are going to implement later on at the end of the month. And we decided it along with the volunteers, with young people. Then we saw that this changed. Of course, it's not easy to find the formula, and especially at these years of skepticism, and I noticed at the university that the younger generations every year are more and more reluctant to participate if, for example, there is no money to receive back, or if they don't have something, let's say, to mention very specific in their CV or a reward. This is something that we don't face it only in Greece. I think this is a common challenge in most European countries. I believe in Egypt as well, and especially after the COVID era, things have become worse. From my point of view, I don't have an answer to this. I think that we need to try to engage and try to convince more and more young people, and perhaps by adopting some, let's say, initiatives, starting from, first of all, translating, as Dimitri said, tools or other directives or texts that would be more approachable to young people in each country, then maybe that would be the first step. Of course, we always face difficulties because, for example, and I will stop here, a few years ago, in 2019, when the the United Nations Youth Strategy, after some time it was launched, We, as an organization, had the honor to be to do the translation of the text in Greek. The translation of the text in Greek at the moment is among the 6 official languages of the United Nations in the official website of the United Nations. We have sent the text to the national authorities of Greece, and we didn't receive any response. So, I mean, a lot of work here needs to be done, because even if we do have the resources in our own language and we can communicate anything, those have to communicate it to the young generation, don't do it, then we really have a bigger challenge. Thank you.
Okay, these are great questions. I don't think anyone has a modern answer for all the inputs and the questions you mentioned. I'm just reflecting about a few points you were talking about in your questions. The first thing in your question about how to navigate the project that we want to implement and all of that, I think this is an issue we all are facing, either as an individual level or institutional level, because we all depend on funding, and the funding also has trends. So, for example, in Egypt, most of the civil society organizations, there has been a trend, for example, in working on projects related to refugees because of the refugees crisis. And then after some time, because of the donor fatigue, what we call the donor fatigue, most of the funding related to refugees actually shifted, for example, to projects related to entrepreneurship or to environment, or whatever the trends of the global system we're living in is trying to push us to. So, on a practical note, I feel that what we try to do is we get the funding for whatever that trend is trying to push us to, but we try to navigate what we really want to do in this kind of scope. So, for example, this is what we try to do, for example, our proposals, we apply for a project, but we try to navigate and include what we really want to do for our youth in this kind of scope. So it's like try to get a win-win solution. Speaking about the second part of the discussion, I see, for example, in Egypt, of course, we try to give a very optimistic, keeping optimistic view about how we're working. So we have very diverse nations. For example, we have a youth strategy domestically in Egypt. There is a youth leadership program that attracts young people to actually get a training program and also join the government. But also this youth leadership program actually creates copies from the government principles. So, for example, youth enter to be able to get a job at the government, but they end up just trying to make sure that they're following the rules so that we able to get a job. So it's not really a way for enabling space for people to challenge or criticize or read their own selves or think about the different pathway that they can get to. So I personally think, this is a space for us to collectively think and reflect and come up with common practices that we can think about. And also, I feel that it's usually about how we think about youth as an integral part of our work, not as an invitation for a decoration, like people are just invited to get the numbers and say we're working with youth and things are going great. Maybe two things we're trying to include in our works lately, and this is not enough, but we think we need to work on more, is first that we try to do our monitoring and evaluation techniques for all our projects to be led by youth, so to be able to learn from their own perspectives and experiences what they truly see that is lacking and we need to be including more, and also to create more alumni associations for all the projects and programs we implement. So we'll be able to always connect all the people who actually go through these experiences and learn from them and learn how this impacted their own lives and how we can actually develop it for further generations. This is what I have on my mind now.
Yes, listen. Very good.
Perfect. Because I think there's a very big question, so I don't know from where to start. But for the beginning, the first question, I have a short one and then a long one. The short one, how to engage young people to make them engaged in those. Okay, I will say that one. The long one, there is this myth of unengagement, young people not participating, which is not true. I mean, nowadays we are having a participation which there is not part historical moment in the life of human beings where all the population was participating. It never happened. There was never a moment where all young people, all the population were there. Other people were illiterate, because they don't have the rights. And talk about women until 30 years ago in many countries, they not even possible to participate. So this participation issue, I do think is an issue because now there is much more attention on youth than you can even imagine. And participation is there. Perhaps not about voting. There is this narrative of low participation because you really want young people to vote for legitimacy. And then they're not participating, but they're not voting. Doesn't mean they're not participating. Participation is there, it's something other means. It's just that they don't want to acknowledge because then it means they're giving legitimacy for the votes that come out. So I don't think, and that's another part of the reply. The final part of the reply is that the work of the person that want to change things, who want to be involved, is to be involved. It's not to make other people involved. If you see an office with the hours break or what comes with the right now with the Fridays of Future, it was not planned to become a mainstreaming event. It just happens because someone started with a vision. And people just start to accumulate like a snowball effect. The story of Greg started as playing by the G8 in Genova many years ago. The point is that if there is a plan for a very limited number of people, and if the moment comes, people will get on board. Either because it's trendy, it's fun, whatever, it will come. But when it's important to go ahead and not taking feel to be down just because people are not participating. Not even a big conference. I mean, I used to go to a very big conference and people say, we're going to have thousands of representatives from the government, the diplomats, they have this huge fame, the concerts, they don't show up anyhow. I mean, it's not about young organizations. Yeah, I tell you that at any level works like this. So what is important is to go ahead and go ahead with the people you have, which are not either. I mean, if you consider that youth now, it's one of the main agenda in all the big organizations. There is no one big organization that doesn't have youth as a priority. Even the ones like we see that it's more about economic development, they still have youth involved. If you consider even that in 2019 there was this UN resolution on youth peace and security, so that young people need to be employed in peace negotiation and conflict prevention. It's a big thing. I mean, can you imagine that? Being seated within a negotiation specific table for the conflict prevention. So that's a big thing. And it's not to hold in this way, it's not increase more and more. What is needed, that young people are there to take part and to see ready for it. So just be ready for that, and people will just join you. And this is a bit connected to the question that first did about the education of part that the member states have to do this work. But the international organization, they just give some elements of it. Civil society play a role in it. It's not just about the state and the international organizations. Civil society needs to work. There is a big part of the work that needs to be done by you. You not as a young, but you as a tertiary sector in general. And this is what needs to be even more advocated. It's not just about entering the room of the political level, but be able to work with the organization. But what you said about, mechanisms are there but are not used. This is about, again, the other part of the coin. It's capacity building also for the civil servant. There's always this idea of let's capacitate young people. No, let's capacitate also the policymakers. Sure. Because most of the time they reach a position just because they have this career within the political party, they grow up, etc. But then nobody really checked their capacity. And now there is a big, let's say, interest, and they start to become an issue. They think of the civil service staff with the international organization need to have this youth mainstreaming capacity. Very fancy word, but talking about words. There's also people that don't understand nothing about youth, change the vocabulary, and that's very fun. You're not explaining them what does it mean, something talking about, it's just part of how much you want to really engage with it. About the obstacles in participation. This is something about mapping your agenda, how much you really must on the agenda. I work a lot now with the Middle East and the South Med, and they were very good in making something very simple and very clear. Visa. No? Any kind of meeting you go, talk about, what about the global warming? I want the visa. Why don't we need visa? So they keep part this agenda of visa.
Yeah.
They create this rumor, and wherever you go, it's visa. There is visa issue. How can participate in models in the give visa? Because there is issue of the visa. So something similar should happen when we talk about cumbersome procedures, participation, access, and creating marketing agenda. A very nice example I can make, very simple but being helpful. In some places where some people call the ramps for wheelchairs will come here.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have any with the wheelchairs coming here. It's not about getting access to the speaker. It's to make a point that this space could be used, but no matter if they're here or not here. Eventually one day they will come here. But I think I prefer the separate. And people will notice it. Why are you putting there? There is no one. It's something needed to be here to make this point. So create, again, it's about the agenda, work transversely as a group of people to advocate for something. A leader man would make like sense, like to create or accessible narrative like around this. What I will stop here and pass it to the rest.
Yeah, I would agree with said my colleagues, but this in case of youth outreach, what I'm giving my personal perspective, just believe what you do. That's most important. It could be very difficult. You could not be reaching so many people. But the questions of bureaucracy, when you talk with the politicians and so on, write this paper, send this letter, and so on, it's annoying, needing. But step by step, you will reach them. Just you have to believe it. That's the most important. If you are over here, you believe that something, right? You believe that you could achieve something, you could learn something, right? You're doing this right. I always ask my students, I've been teaching 12 years at university. Why you are here? My first action. My mom said me go to the house to start eating. Okay, very good answer. Thank you very much. But the answer them, they don't really know what's the motivation. So the main goal is not to gain the certificate that you are getting to university, really right here, but to be applicable, be very effective at employment, right? To find a job. So that's the most important thing to answer. So when you're still struggling with official papers, the language which the European Commission use, or young people are using those, I also ask, of course, could you just hear me what the young people are telling, right? Because I'm totally out of space when you're talking artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. I just learned something about ChatGPT. I was thinking this Chinese are doing something there. Now I'm a bit more reading. So reading what you are doing, and if there is a silence, someone just said that there is a silence. Yeah, they're not answering us. Knock the door. Please read it. Watch the door and find the window. So usually I do this way because no one will accept you if you are silent yourself, right? And people should understand that you've got power. Behind you are the young people who wants to answers, who wants to change, and that's how this goes. Usually that's if you are just a single decision, and it just goes just bureaucracy. And what's the bureaucrat? Look, I just goes this way. And of course, I find a very proactive young person who could understand the language of senior language that you are not undertaking. But find a word, and it's called advocacy work. You know what I mean, advocacy, right? It's nice words. Or lobbying. In Brussels, there is, you know where the decisions are made in Brussels, guys? Tell me. In the parliament, who thinks, let's just hold, who thinks that the decisions are made in the parliament? Who thinks it's not in the parliament? Fully correct. The decisions are made in the cafes around the European Parliament. All of them there. There are more than 3,000 different organizations or lobbying on interests. The same in Quito, around Europe, city councils, the government, all of the parliaments. So feel free, find the interest or build your own community and start moving on. So I see that in my country, Estonia, where I was working for a long time now, in the Nordics, is a very powerful young people are taking steps and changing the policies in terms of life, in terms of youth participation, engagement, or even setting up a new, I forgot, very important initiative. The young people, not the National Youth Council, everyone, has established at each ministry a so-called council of young people. So where young people are asked to call different one, it's not supposed to be, yes, I'm super duper participant at every event and so on. I don't like this conference participation, conference to read, I call this. So they are very different people, and they ask about specific questions if it's related to the field. For example, Minister of Environment and Climate, have Minister of Environment, ask young people about the green transition. So we have now a lot of problems with climate change, right? So we ask young people what they think. The Minister of Economics asked me how the employment or current challenges are affecting young people. And COVID has effects on young people as well, especially in the education system. The young people was almost starting 2 years digital, right? And this small chambers of the science chambers as well are helping to at least to minimize the problems in the future in the parliament and within the society. So this is how we do. But of course, it's not everything is great and beautiful things. You have to fight for own interests. And that's what we did, for example, this last organization, which I was working for 20 years. And we had problems with the municipality. They're still not accepting us. They still, but we go up. We say bye-bye. We move on further. We go up. And we're doing our things ourselves. And the question about money. Who thinks that one problem for that people, if you do some project, is money? You don't think so, right? That's correct. The problem is not the money. The problem is always that you need to finalize the event, and you need to see the future, the final result. And sometimes young people, so all we need is money. No, sometimes you need resources, right? The right persons will be doing them. Sometimes you need a real expert who could help you to achieve the goal, right? So not only the money, you need the money is everywhere. As I told to him, you can find money everywhere. Organize such a this event, right? To talk with different foundations, so on, or even just make a smaller event or virtual one. That's the small initiative, which could lead to the big Given the last best practice, I know you can tell the best practice. So, and then just to give you one, I will tell the practice which you will be. So yeah, about the Nordic young people award.
Yes, hello. So we just had short practice in Edmond, where I'm from, about the Nordic Baltic Youth Chefs Competition Award, where we 5 countries from Nordic and the Baltic area who competed in a food competition, making their own traditional food, some innovation dishes, and some green sustainable dishes. And it was very good to practice, to share common food traditions, and also come up with new ideas how to make green food, sustainable food. And we had awards, we had some prizes for the winners, and it was very good, I would say, practice and activity to make that people liked it a lot. Very small activity, very useful, and it was just like that a lot. It just was a small practice from my side from that Monday.
So basically what the most important key was to put young people in competition. You agree that the competition is less, it drives moves, it moves forward. So you want to win this, and the people get a real reward, prize with the money. It's nice, isn't it? And also they learn a lot of different skills, how to survive themselves. My question is, everyone is sleeping here? Perfect. Yeah, also everyone is sleeping. But the practical thing is that this small event would be now implemented, integrated in the schools, in the schools of communities, as a good example, and move all further in the teams of the United Nations on Sustainable Development Goals. To how to waste less. My colleague believes that there is no waste total. For example, you know the hotels, they're dropping this a lot of food. There's a big problem for your society. There's a lot of poverty on the street. They saw it in front of the city council. You see, so you could help them with some issues, of course. or how you use your water or electricity, right? To reduce the challenges in the future of your children. So think before you do anything and empower others by examples. So as you mentioned, I really I'm hunting quick. I'm very interested in motivating families. That's what I'm really interested in. Who will be making a change? Because from start, the flame will burn. You agree with that? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think you have exhausted you and we are still playing. And I will finish, if I want to have my own perspective, very briefly, I will take more than that and use the words of others, especially when you're saying it is how can we affect others. Some of you will, I don't know if anyone has seen this movie, it was called The Field of Dreams. And it's someone, they made an angel, whatever, because the guy had a problem with his father, he was telling him, if you will bring he will come. And I'm just mentioning what you mentioned is the snowball effect. So this is essential for this one. And when you are there, because you said whether they will share my vision, is it really important that it sounds as if you don't trust that much your own vision. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you find it, go, I mean, it's you that was rewarded for this one. And in the words, you already know the Dice, who was very well known activist. He was one of the best web producers, and then he became the mayor of Thessaloniki. He actually changed the side of the vision of Thessaloniki. And they were saying that he was very successful because he was passionate. And he asked, no, it is because I had a vision. So this was very important for him. And my personal, and said in a way, and I will finish with some words that I use here. Imagine, as I've said, the vision, co-ownership, the snowball effect. It's not voting, it's not the only way to participate and be politically active. You have to be very good intelligent. And the language, with the language that you're using, do not only train youth, train also the other side, or what we've been discussing earlier. The division is not with the youth and the others, with the big roles, the performance of those roles. And actually coming back, we are the ones who are working in the ALF Foundation, and I'm always asking myself whether what we are doing has really results, and can we feel the results? Like, you know, you have it, you are throwing in the seeds and are waiting to see it. My own perspective is that the one with whom I want to be in very good terms is my mirror, my image, when I will go and be the St. Paul or St. Peter. So it's you that we have to be there, and the moment you start feeling good and enjoying what you're saying, having fun, I should mention the topic. It shouldn't be an obligation. It's something that it really feels that you have to do it. And as the one was saying, then the others will follow. If you receive the passion and your vision is clear enough, then gradually it will meet, you will find the followers that will assist you. Because at the end of the day, it's group teams the ones who want to move the world, not only individuals. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you much for standing and you need to extend.
Sorry. So, this is the evaluation survey for this event. Please start and then submit the survey of what you compute.
She's familiar with the children.
And I think you all invited, I will give you drinks tonight on kind successes.
Please bye.
Okay, have a good night, and enjoy it, and see you tomorrow, because we think we have a continuation in other aspects.
Thanks.